Hello! Welcome to Marshmellow Reads. I'm Marcy, and today I have an exciting birthday-related video. So this Thursday, March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, whatever, I am turning 29 years old. That's a lot of years, and I am not really prepared for that eventuality, but it's fine, it's happening. It'll happen. Over the weekend, I had the idea to create a TBR for my last year of my 20s. And it's really nothing fancy, nothing like intellectual or like, there's no theme to this really. I just went through my massive Goodreads TBR and picked out 30 books that I wanted to read in the next year. That's right, this is my 30 under 30 TBR. None of these are in any particular order. I'm just gonna run through them and yeah, let's have some fun. Something a bit different from my previous TBRs is that I actually want to read all 30 of these books within the next year. So I'm gonna try to give myself a bit of a head start on books I already have on hold from the library. So all these are either gonna come from my personal collection that I already have in the house or from the library, easily accessible, whatever. First one I have currently on hold from my library is Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. This is another, it's not like a sequel, I don't think it's connected to The Love Hypothesis, but it's like in, what'd she call it? A new STEMinist rom-com. So it's in a similar vein to Love Hypothesis, but I don't think it's connected to that story. Anyway, this time we have, ooh, she's got purple hair, fun. Jetty, she's our main girl character, and she's working at NASA doing neuroengineering, fancy schmancy stuff. And then her love interest is basically a copy paste of the guy from Love Hypothesis. Is this another Adam Driver, aka Kylo Ren? I don't know, but I'm interested in finding out. He's just tall, dark, handsome, smart, I guess. So interested. I don't know. It might be a little bit shorter. I can't remember, but easy peasy. The next book I have on hold from my library is The School for Good Mothers by Jessamine Chan. This was a recent find of mine. I think it is a pretty new release. Yeah, January of this year. And from what I can tell, this book is following this woman who has been sent by the government to the School for Good Mothers because of some perceived deficiency in her mothering capabilities. So in this fairly dystopian world, it seems to be that every aspect of motherhood is super under surveillance, and if you are caught like looking at your phone while your kid's at the park, even though you're literally at the park with them, that's a strike against you. And I don't know what counts enough to be sent to this school, but let's find out. This is another one that I knew I was absolutely going to read this year. This is A Prayer for the Crown Shy by Becky Chambers. This is the sequel to the Monk and Robot series. I think it's only going to be a duology, so this should complete another series for me, woo! And I do believe that this book is going to continue the developing relationship between our non-binary monk, who is discovering the world of tea, and also just world. What is life? Who am I? Who are you? And their pal, this robot, who has emerged from the woods. Like, humans and robots used to be living together until robots decided, we're not working for you anymore, goodbye. And this seems to be like a first recontact sort of situation. And I love the first one. It was super wholesome and warm and fuzzy. It made me think good thoughts, so hopefully the second one does the same. I really do need to read more by Adrian Tchaikovsky, so this is another reason why this particular book is on the list. It is Elder Race. I loved Children of Time, and I know it has a sequel, but I'll get to that one eventually. But this one, I've heard it has both science and magic coexisting in the same world, and I want to read what that's about. I believe the main character of this book is a junior anthropologist. She's just barely an adult, barely starting her career, and yet she's like thrown into some crazy, I don't know if it's war or what is going on, but she's getting deeply involved in some pretty big events on the planet that she is studying. So hell yeah. This is a book that I currently own. You can probably see the series behind me. It is Persepolis Rising, number 7 in the Expanse series by the duo author James S.A. Corey. I have been reading this series for some years now, and like, I don't know, they're chunky books, but they're not necessarily a tough read. Like, for whatever reason, I'm intimidated. I don't know, but it's been a little while since I read number 6, and number 9 came out last year. I need to get on this. I need to get going. I want to finish this series. So number 7 is at least number 7. More would be great, but at least in the next year, I want to read one more book. At least in the next year, I want to read one more book in this series. Next up is a book that I just started today on audiobook. This is Invisible Women, a Data Bias in a World Designed for Men by Carolyn Criado Perez. I had heard about this book for some years now. Like, I'm pretty sure I put it in a 5-star predictions video of mine a while ago, and I'm finally getting around to it. And right off the bat, when was this published? It was published in 2019. That's not that long ago. But something that was glaringly obvious when I started reading this was it very much takes a binary approach to gender and sex. Like, in her very brief introduction, it specifically mentions sex as XX or XY, even though we know there's a whole variety of options there that in some ways could relate to, it's complicated. and then very clearly, like, you're either a woman or a man in this book. And part of that, I'm assuming, is because of how data is collected, especially for the past, couple hundred years. It's been only considered to be like man or woman, so no gender non-conforming people in this, really. At least that's what I've seen so far. I'll see how the rest of the book goes, but even taken as a binary, I'm still interested to see just the variety of ways that women were not considered at all, including like bus routes, car safety, like as crash test dummies. For years, we're just men, so women had higher mortality rates in car crashes, stuff like that. Fun things to listen to for fun. This is another physical copy that I own. This is After the Fire by Will Hill. I've mentioned it, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 times now on this channel, saying that, yes, I do want to read this book. I think I have it right there, but I still haven't read it. It's just how it goes. And I do finally want to read it because it was one of the first books I bought in my reading renaissance, so I want to get to it. And the only thing I really know about this book is the characters have maybe recently escaped a cult situation, and a specific Father John was a bad guy, and they may or may not actually have escaped his influences and, all that culty stuff. So I'm intrigued. Another book that I bought in that same purchase as After the Fire is The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. This is the first book in the Broken Earth series, and it's like fantasy climate change, I think. I'm assuming with other elements in there, but that little snippet is what got me interested in this series in the first place. And I still haven't read any N.K. Jemisin at all, and I have a feeling I'm gonna like her, at least in some cases. So I just need to give this one a try. This one, I'm very curious to see how I'm gonna think of it. This is The Warded Man by Peter V. Brett. This is the first book in the Demon Cycle. I don't necessarily know much about what the book or the series is about, but I do know that my friend AJ sent me a box of this book series, and I still need to crack them open, so I'm going to give this one a go. What is it about? Demons. We got demons. Humans are dwindling in number, dying to these demons and their attacks. Together they will stand against the night using magical wards. Okay, so the Warded Man, this symbol ward thing. That makes sense. Yeah, so these wards are symbols of power whose origins are lost in myth and whose protection is terrifyingly fragile. Okay. I'm curious. Next up is a booktube favorite, at least in the circles that I'm kind of adjacently in. This is Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. And I think the first few times I'd heard about this book, I didn't realize it was time travel related. I don't know how I missed that detail, but it's like kind of the whole conceit of the book. So in this little cafe, there is a table, and you can sit at this table and travel back in time to a time of your choosing, but there's a catch. The time traveler must sit in a particular seat, they cannot leave the cafe, and they have to return from their trip before their coffee gets cold. And that just sounds cute and wholesome. Hopefully it is, and I'm excited to find out. Okay, so I've been having some recent troubles trying to find good mystery thrillers. I actually have a video idea about that. Hopefully I actually have the energy to make it. Yeah, I love mystery thrillers. Like, I used to devour them, but nowadays, like, everyone I try seems to be pretty damn mediocre. But I keep hearing One by One by Ruth Ware seems to be legitimately good and interesting and different, and I'm curious to see if that is actually true, at least to my standards. And it looks like the plot of this book is similar, at least a bit, to The Sanatorium, which I'm currently reading and not really liking. But in One by One, it also takes place in like a mountainside, but in this case it's a rustic chalet, and our main character is there with her coworkers, and it seems to be all cozy and nice, but then it's not. Do people go missing? I'm not sure, but I'm gonna find out. Yay! Ooh, okay, I'm excited, but also scared of this one because it is chunky. I'm not gonna pull it out because it's deep in there behind the plant. But this is The Ember Blade by Chris Wooding. I got this one for Christmas. Thank you, John. He already read it. He read it so fast. I don't understand. But he liked it, and I asked him to give me some books to put on this 30 under 30 TBR list, and this was one of them. And I'm excited about it. It's, I'm pretty sure, a standalone fantasy. It is like about 1,000 pages or so, so like I get it that you got a lot to pack in there for a standalone. And it, I believe, follows like two friends who are like trying to escape a prison camp. I'm not sure, prison labor camp, something like that. I'm okay not knowing too many details about this one. I know several people I watch really enjoyed this one. John enjoyed it too, so I'm gonna give this one a go, and hopefully I can actually finish it in the next year. This one I'm very excited about. This is A Girl Like Her by Talia Hibbert. This is the first book in the Ravenswood series. I loved Talia Hibbert's The Brown Sisters series with Get a Life, Chloe Brown, Take a Hint, Dani Brown, and probably my favorite, Act Your Age, Eve Brown. All of them were so good. I loved her writing style. The characters had like great, vivid characterization. Like, they really just lit up off the page. And the steamy scenes were actually pretty good. Like, of the romance I've read, probably the best steamy scenes. Like, I don't know, I haven't read that much still. I'm still working on that, but these have been the best. So hopefully Talia Hibbert has done it again in A Girl Like Her. So I'll check it out. And now for a more sapphic side of love, but I don't know how much that actually contributes to this story. This is The Space Between Worlds by Micaiah Johnson. This is definitely more like sci-fi fiction. This is a universe, a version of our universe where there are multiple universes, and you can travel between these parallel universes, but only if the universe or world you go to, the version of you that existed is already dead. So for most people, they don't have that many options because they're lucky, I guess. But our main character, for some reason, I don't know the reason, but because of her circumstances, she has so many options of different worlds to go to because she ends up dead in a lot of them, and she does some traveling. And from the Goodreads description, this should be a fun adventure, like cross-dimensional adventure, but it also has a powerful examination of identity, privilege, and belonging. So very excited about this one. Another physical copy that I've had for like about a year and I still haven't touched, but you know, maybe in the next year. I'm not 100% sure about this one, but it's on the shorter side. It's like 176 pages, so we'll see how it goes. This is Concrete Island by J.G. Ballard. And this seems like more on the surreal fiction side, maybe a smidge of like sci-fi. We'll see. So one day in April, right, sometime in the afternoon, Robert is driving his car on the highway, just going on one of those big ramps or whatever, and he crashes over the side of the highway and crashes onto this like concrete island, hence the name. And wherever he lands, in this weird in-between all of these high-speed highways, he's injured and he's trapped. And it looks like it turns into a bit of like a horror novel. It's basically turning this very private catastrophe, this huge crash, into an intensely specular allegory. I don't fully know what that means, but I'm curious to find out. I hope I like this one because I like the idea of this. And here we have another book that I have mentioned a few times on this channel and still haven't read. This is Kindred by Octavia E. Butler. So this also has a time travel element. In this case, a young Black woman living in the 1970s, for some reason, gets plucked out of her timeline and thrown into like 1800s Deep South, I think. But basically in the height of slavery. And she's a Black woman, so it clearly does not go well for her. And she manages to escape, but she loses an arm in the process. This is her first time going back in time. And for whatever reason, she keeps getting plucked back and back and back. And she has to figure out why on earth this is happening. And it deals with race and history and family history and stuff like that. So I'm excited and a little scared. Ooh, I'm excited about this one too. This is another promising mystery thriller. This is Winter Counts by David Hecksha Wimbley Waden. This is about a vigilante living on a Native American reservation who takes it upon themselves to figure out who is behind what's happening with this massive influx of heroin into their community. And it sounds intense. It definitely sounds like the sort of thing where the police are probably not the most helpful in this situation, and a vigilante is called for. So I hope this is as good as it sounds. I've heard good things, and yeah. Giving myself another easy little bump, this is The Halloween Tree by Ray Bradbury. This has been on my like Halloween reading list for a couple years now, but I just never seem to get around to it when it's appropriate. I think I'm still going to try to read this one around like the August, September, October time frame. And it's only like 145 pages, so hopefully I make that work because I love Bradbury, and I think this one even has like an animation adaptation that I think I have saved somewhere deep in my YouTube watch list, and I'd like to actually watch that one day, but I want to read the source first, so I'm gonna make that happen. Another one that I'm super excited about. This is The Iron Widow by Shiran J. Shao, and I have that one on my bookshelf ready to go. I just have to pick it up and start reading. But once I finish the other physical books I'm reading, it's fine. I think of the physical books on this list, this is probably going to be the next one I pick up because I have been so excited about it ever since I bought it, but for reasons I haven't gotten to it yet. But I'm so excited. Mostly, I don't know, there's so many pieces of this book that have me excited. So it's this dystopian sci-fi world where these giant mech robots are they're powered by two people. They have to be a boy and a girl. And for reasons, the girls tend to die a lot more often than the pilots. So I don't know if it's like physical, mental strain of like powering the SMEC, but I'm gonna find out. And our main girl, she is one of these pilots. And there is also a love triangle in this, but the wonderful thing that I'm very excited about is instead of like sticking to that same old tired trope of love triangle, there's polyamory instead. And I'm very intrigued to see what that looks like, especially in like a YA novel. Like that is so different from literally everything else. So very hyped for this one. Oh, okay, so I recently read The Tea Dragon Society by Kay O'Neill, and I saw also on Hoopla, they also have their other graphic novel, Princess Ever After, and this one looks just as adorable, if not more adorable, if that is even possible, than The Tea Dragon Society. And it looks like it's two cute princesses being cute and maybe saving each other. And is that a dragon? It's a cute little dragon. I really don't need to know what this is about. I was gonna give you a quick synopsis, but it doesn't matter. Look, it's cute. I'm gonna read it. This one. Another new release coming out in the next year that I know I'm gonna pick up and just devour as soon as I possibly can. This is Nono the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. I am a huge fan of the Ninth series, or I guess the Locked Tomb series. This is number 3. I absolutely loved Gideon the Ninth, the first one. Haru the Ninth, I still have questions, but I still really enjoyed, and I'm very intrigued what Nona is gonna do. Okay, I'm just gonna read you this 3-line hook on Goodreads. Her city is under siege. The zombies are coming back, and all Nona wants is a birthday party. I love it already. I'm so excited. When does this come out? September 13th. I can't wait. I cannot wait. This is another physical book that I just have laying around my house. This was gifted to me by my good friend Jessie, who has since moved away, and I'm very sad, but it's okay. I will have this book to remember her by, and also the internet. But anyway, this specific book is From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and this is vampires and romance. Why not? I hope this turns out to be the adult version of Twilight. I'm hoping and imagining it is. I think the female love interest is a maiden who is forced into servitude, something like that, and then the dude is a soldier or a guard who has to like keep watch over her and make sure she stays pure and stuff, and you know, it's that kind of stuff. And this seems like a very good comfort read that I'm looking forward to. Okay, this is another book I'm very excited to read that I have currently on hold at my library. This is Devil House by John Darnielle. I'm in love with this retro style cover. Like, it's beautiful. I want it on a poster. I want to hang this up. And from what I remember, the main character is a true crime writer. Yeah, and he has found a lot of success writing in that genre. And as we've seen in the last couple of years, it's really blown up all over the place in podcasts, documentaries, books, everywhere. And during the course of writing his latest book, he rents or is living in this haunted house, or supposedly haunted house, where some gruesome murders happened. I'm pretty sure. Yes, murders. And so he's kind of like using this house as inspiration or motivation to write his new book. But in the process of that, he's like also kind of reckoning with what it means to be profiting off murders. You know? When you really start to think about it, it's kind of icky, right? And where is the line? What is good true crime versus exploitative? Is any of it good and non-exploitative? I don't know. I'm interested to see what John Darnielle has to say about this topic. This is a book I'm about 6% in. I keep trying to read it when I'm like 5 seconds from sleep, so maybe that's my problem, but I'm very excited. This is A Machine Hood by S.B. Divya, and I checked this one out from my library, and I hadn't really heard about it. I don't even remember how I found it, but I'm very excited about it because it seems to be tackling the issue of labor rights through the lens of AI and robots. And I hope it's good. I've already gotten a lot of highlights in that first 6% in the ebook. Like it seems to be up my political alley, if you know what I mean. And I'm excited to get further into this story and see what it's about. On a similar note, in terms of being interesting to me because of its politics, and I really want to see where I align with this specific book. This is Infomocracy by Malka Ann Older, and I don't know. It's a cyberpunk, sci-fi, dystopian novel. Like, look at this cover. And it's talking about, like, I think how search engine monopolies and like manipulation of the algorithm influences elections. I think that's what it's about, something like that. But obviously, you know, if you've been paying any attention, you know companies like Facebook and Google and YouTube even, definitely YouTube, they have massive influences on the politics, not just in the United States, but all over the world. And I'm interested in that conversation. And I'm curious to see what this specific book has to say about it, because I'm picturing it one of two ways. I'm either going to be like, hell yes, girl, highlight, woo, super excited. Or I'm still going to be doing a lot of highlighting, but in rage, you know, rage highlighting. So we'll see how it goes. In general, I don't read a lot of short stories or like anthology collections, that kind of stuff, but I am intrigued about this one. This is Her Body and Other Parties, a short story collection by Carmen Maria Machado. If that name sounds familiar to you, like it did to me, it's probably because you read, or at least have heard of, In the Dream House, which was one of my favorite books of either last year or the year before. But I loved her writing styles and her variety of writing styles of In the Dream House. So I'm interested to see her different short stories, because I'm imagining they're going to have their own individual character and probably still related to each other in some way. Like I believe this, it's described as having like psychological realism, science fiction, comedy, horror, fantasy, fabulism, you know, all sorts of stuff. A lot of the same types of writing that you saw in the Dream House. Yeah, and this short story collection seems to focus on the realities of women's lives and the violence that is dealt upon their bodies. So not the happiest of books. Neither was In the Dream House. So I know what I'm getting into, and I'm ready, I think. Next up is another John pick. This is The Book of Jerrig, technically the first 3 books in the Vlad Taltosh series. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but this is by Stephen Brust. John has been trying to get me to read this for a while now, and I've been adamant. No, I don't know. I've just been lazy. I'm not the biggest fantasy reader, although that's a lie. I've definitely been reading a lot of more fantasy recently, but I haven't been having a lot of luck with it. I think that's because I've been focusing more on YA fantasy, but this is definitely more adult. And I forget exactly what about this book, but it does have like Hungarian influence, which is different from most other fantasy that I've read, and I love that. Like the last fantasy series I read, I'll put it here because I forget the name, but it's fantasy but based on different like African mythos, which I was really into. So seeing this version, this book with Hungarian influence and how that differs from like literally every other like medieval European style fantasy, I'm excited for. And I think he said I was also going to be interested in the politics of this one. I think specifically its socialist views. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'll find out. Oh yeah, the last 3 books on this list are all John picks. So I'll just put that out there now. But next up is Unconquerable Sun by Kate Elliott. This is also, this has been on my list for a while, and I didn't even get the idea from John, but this is sci-fi, space opera. Yes, please. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Okay, so it's described as a gender-swapped Alexander the Great on an interstellar scale. Yes. Yes. Yes, please. Gimme. So I'm going to put this eventually on my hold list through the library. And I'll have to space this out in between Persepolis Rising, because I would imagine they're both on a similar scale, like big space battles, you know, space opera. So I'll probably squeeze this in between some other type of stories. Another book that has been on my general TBR for a long time that I'm finally going to push myself to give a try is All Systems Red, the first book in the Murderbot series by Martha Wells. I don't know what it is. I don't know why it's scary. It's only 144 pages long. I know I can do it, and I've heard it's like a pretty quick read, super casual. I just need to do it because I need to know if I like the series so that I can keep an eye out on it. And I think Martha Wells has a different book or series coming out soon that I was also interested in. So I want to know how she writes. I want to know if it is up my alley. I have a feeling it is, because what is it? The quote pinned here: "As a heartless killing machine, I was a complete failure." So I think it's like a robot who is made for killing, but he realizes that he loves art and media and just like doing other human stuff, I think. So we'll see how it goes. All right, the last book on my 30 under 30 list is City of Stairs, the first book in the Divine Cities series by Robert Jackson Bennett. I have no idea what this is about. For some reason, this cover always reminds me of The Mortal Instruments, another series that I've never read, but for whatever reason, that connection is there. And whenever I saw this book at my library, I just assumed it was going to be YA, but I'm pretty sure, no, it is listed as adult urban fantasy. Ooh, and mystery. We'll see how that goes. I think, are bones involved? Let's see. A tale of vast conspiracies, dead gods, and buried histories. Ooh, a gripping spy novel? And a stunning original work of fantasy. Okay, you got me with the spy novel and fantasy. What's that about? What's it like? What you doing? I'm curious. Okay, that was a lot of books to talk about, and I tried to speed through them as quick as I could because I gotta get back to work. This is my lunch break. Let me know if you have read any of the books on this series, or if you have any particularly strong opinions one way or the other about them. I want to know. I hope you all have an amazing week. If you happen to have a birthday this week like I do, happy birthday! Or if you know someone with a birthday this week, tell them happy birthday. Either way, do something nice for yourselves and others, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!